Alright, so let's talk about Screaming Frog and some of the visualizations you can do in here. Alright, so this tool is really great. Most SEOs know about this and you're using it quite a bit. In the latest version of 11.0, there's a couple of new things with structured data testing, which is pretty cool. And then before version 10, Screaming Frog released a visualization asset, which is amazing. You can really bring to life your site and the architecture and how pages are connected to one another, what's indexed, what's not, through color codes. I mean, it's really awesome. Pops out. It makes finding issues really easy. So I want to just focus this particular training on that, on one of the visualizations, which is one of the force graph visualizations. It creates essentially a mapping of all your pages connected to one another, and it's really good for spotting out architectural issues, and if you have the right links, essentially connecting one page to the next. So we're going to assume we're going to be, let's be Kohl's again. Alright, for lack of creativity, we'll be Kohl's again, and we're in the e-commerce space, obviously, and we're trying to drive traffic to our site around all the different products we have. Alright, so cool. So this is going to crawl through Kohl's. Now, Kohl's is a huge site. I mean, they have literally hundreds of thousands of SKUs. So we won't, obviously, go through all 100,000 URLs. I'm just going to start the crawl process here, and then I'm going to narrow this down to HTML pages. I'm going to track down here to see how many total I get, and I'm just going to wait for this to load up to maybe about 100, 150 pages to kind of give me a general idea of the architecture. Take some coffee. Alright, so this is getting pretty close to kind of where we'll stop this for a second just to get the visual. But it's as simple as just typing in the domain and then hitting start, and then you can wait for the whole crawl if you have a relatively small site, or you can obviously wait for the full crawl if you have a large site. This may take a couple of days before you can get back to this if it's truly a huge site. Most big sites should be able to crawl within a couple of hours, and then essentially once you get the crawl, you stop the crawl process, or it'll stop by itself if you completed it, and you go to visualizations. And now play around with these because there's a lot of really great options here, but the third one here is force directed crawl diagram. Alright, so this diagram in particular I found really useful because it really kind of pops out in terms of the architecture. Now this is by default sorted to pages that are indexed and pages that are not indexed, so you can kind of get a sense of how everything clusters around the home page, which is the center page here. You can also get a good sense of duplicate content, so if you have, let's say, an indexable HTTP and an indexable HTTPS, you can spot that pretty easily here. And then you can also see, in terms of just the main crawl path out of the navigation, a lot of the pages are actually canonicalized. So you can see that by diving into some of these pages. So I would say complement this view with this view and just toggle between the two in terms of kind of getting a sense of architecture, etc. But you do definitely want to have both of those open, so if you have dual screens, you can easily spot URLs, and then you can click into it, and then it'll build a cluster around those. You can also right-click, and then you can focus the attention there, and then what it'll do, it'll rebuild the diagram around that particular cluster, which is really useful for breaking this down, especially on huge sites. Okay, and then just with the back arrow, you can go back in, or you can go into the clusters, which makes it really nice, just like a simple navigator. You can also type in a very specific page and dive deeper into that page within this view as well, which is nice because then, when you have hundreds of thousands of pages and you don't want to have to go back and forth between the main crawl and this crawl, but you have the full map, but you can't really spot where that one page is about, men's V-neck t-shirts in black and size large with low cut, etc. You can, if you know the URL itself, if you know what you're looking for in the URL, you can type it in up here. Alright, then it'll focus on that. So really helpful, very interactive. You can dive around, you can move things around just to kind of see how they're all connected. Again, this is only about 150 pages or so, so it's starting to paint the story here for the site. So play around with it, see if you like it. Cheers.